A Legend of the Northland. This poem narrates the legend of an old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her greed. Hello, dear students. Today we are going to learn this poem that is from class 9 English. Away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. In the first stanza, the poet is introducing the place, how the place is. He is talking about the place Northland, where the days are very short and the nights are so long during the winter season, and it is not easy to pass the nights by sleeping. In the first stanza, the poet is saying that he is talking about the Northland, that means a place near the North Pole, where the hours of the day are few. Hours of the day are few. This means that the days are very short and the nights are so long in winter. And during winter, the nights are so long that when people sleep and after a few hours they awake, it is still night. That means they is referring to the people of Northland, that they cannot sleep them through. Now the people, those who live there, where they harness the swift reindeer. Swift reindeer means fast reindeer, that is an animal that is found in Northland, to the sledges. Sledges means their wagons or their carts. When it snows, means when it snows in the Northland, people use the fast animal reindeer to carry the sledges, to carry the wagons, and the children look like bears' cubs in their funny furry clothes. When the children they wear woolen clothes, furry clothes, they look very funny and they look like bears' cubs. They tell them a curious story. Now the people who live there, they tell their younger ones a very strange story. I don't believe this true. The poet does not. I is the poet here. The poet does not believe that the story is true, but still he wants to share it with us because we may learn a lesson if the poet tells this story to us. So in the three stanzas, the poet has just provided us with an introduction, what he is going to share in this poem. First of all, he said that he is going to talk about Northland. The days are very short there, the nights are so long. The people, those who live there, they use reindeer to carry the sledges. Children wear woolen clothes, so they look funny and they look like bears' cubs. And the people who live there, they tell a curious story. The poet does not believe this is to be true, but he still said that he still wants to share the story with us because this story may give us a lesson. Now the story starts from the fourth stanza. So what is the story? Once when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it preaching just as he did, Means this was the time when the good Saint Peter used to live in this world and he was assigned the task to preach. So he was doing the same thing. He was walking around the earth preaching or teaching the people, as you all know. So while he was traveling round the earth, means in traveling round the earth, while he was traveling round the earth, he came to the door of a cottage. He saw what he saw then. He saw a little woman was making cakes and she was keeping the cakes for baking in the fireplace. Hearth. Hearth means fireplace. Means when one day the Saint Peter was walking round the earth, so what he saw that a little woman, she was making cakes and baking them in the fireplace. Now the good Saint Peter, he was fasting that day, so he was feeling very weak because of hunger. For the day was almost done and the day was almost over. This shows that it was evening time. He asked her, so he asked the lady from her store of cakes to give him single one. So he asked the lady to give him only one cake from the store of her cakes. So she made a little cake. Now the lady, what she did not directly refuse. She could not deny, but she had to give him one cake. So what she did, She made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, but when she was baking the cake, she looked at it. She looked the cake and she thought that this cake is too large to give away. So the lady needed another. So therefore she needed another cake, and she made a still a smaller cake. But when she turned it over, while she was baking it, when she turned it over, the cake looks too large. It was looking as large as the first had done. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough. Then what she did, she took just a tiny scrap of a little piece of dough and rolled it flat. She made a very flat, thin cake, thin as a wafer, and she baked it, but she could not part with that. But she was not even ready to give that cake as well. So, in these three stanzas, the greed of the lady has been shared. How greedy she was. Okay, first she made one cake. When she was means she looked at the cake, she thought that it was too large. Then she needed another which was smaller, but she did not give it to the Saint Peter. Once again she means made a very little, very flat cake, just as a wafer, but she did not give it also to the Saint Peter because she thought that it was also very large. Now what the lady thinks means the lady thought that my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself, means when I eat these cakes they look too small, but when I am to give it to someone they look very large. So she put them on the shelf. So she decided that she would not give these cakes to the Saint Peter. She put them all on the shelf. Now it is said that saints are means saints do not get angry very soon. They can control themselves very well. But this was more than enough. Then good Saint Peter grew angry. While he was means the good Saint Peter, he was watching all this. So he grew angry. One, he was hungry and he was fainting, and another thing that was the lady's greed. And surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. Generally, saints do not get angry, but this was more than enough. He was hungry and fainting, and the lady did means the lady shot such means she did such a mean act that was enough to provoke or to make a saint angry. Now, when he got angry, what he said to the lady that you are too selfish and you don't deserve to be in human form. Human form means for this human form, you are too selfish and you don't deserve food and shelter and fire to keep yourself warm. That means you are enjoying everything as a human being. You have food, you have shelter, and you have fire to keep yourself warm. But you are too selfish that you don't deserve all this. Okay, you are not liable to live like a human form, live like a human on this earth. Now, that means now the Saint Peter cursed the lady. He said, now what you would do, you shall build as the birds do. Now you would live like birds and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all the day in dry hard wood. Means now you would live like birds and you would keep on boring and boring in the dry hard wood to get your little food. Means here the Saint Peter cursed the lady, and after that the lady did not even get the chance to feel apologize. Okay, so she did not speak even a single word. Then up she went through the chimney, and through the chimney she went means she went through the chimney, and she did not speak even a single word, and out of the top, and out of the top of the chimney there flew a woodpecker. This shows the lady was turned into a woodpecker. Okay, for she was changed to a bird. She was changed to a bird. She had become a woodpecker now. She had a scarlet cap on her head. Scarlet means this deep red. Okay, the color that I'm using here. She had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same. Means when she was a human, she used to wear the red colored cap on her head. So the cap remains the same. Still, she was having that deep red color cap on her head, but all the rest of her clothes were burned. But all the rest of her clothes they were burned, and they turned means her color turned black as a coal in the flame. She became black in color. So this was the story, and now once again the poet is telling that every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood. Means it is said that every country schoolboy means every schoolboy or every child had seen her in the jungle, in the forest, and till this very day she lives in the forest, and she is still boring and boring for food. So this is a very interesting poem, and what lesson we learn? We learn that we should not be greedy. Okay, that's why the poet shared this story with us. We should not be greedy. The poem is written by Phoebe Carey. This is not Phoebe Carey, this is Phoebe Carey, a ballad, and this poem is a ballad. A ballad is a song narrating a story in short stanzas. Ballads are a part of folk culture or popular culture and are passed on orally from one generation to the next. So this poem is a ballad because this poem is telling us a story, and this poem is passed on from one generation to other. Legend, old traditional story. Legend means story. Saint Peter, an apostle of Christ, and to provoke, that means to make angry. Apart from that, some difficult words I have already shared the meaning. Deep red. Okay, scarlet means deep red. Then hearth, that means fireplace. Let's talk about the rhyming scheme. Now you can see any of the stanza you can choose. C. Angry. A. Faint. B. Women. C. Saint. B. So the rhyming scheme of the poem is or the stanzas is A, B, C, B. Any other you can choose. Do. A. Food. B. Boring. Sorry. Let me select the page. Sometime it happens. Yes. Any stanza we can choose. Do. A. Food. B. Boring. C. And would. B. So the rhyming scheme is A, B, C, B. Now the questioners of this poem, that is, first question is, which country or countries do you think the Northland refers to? So very easy, it is referring to the countries that are there on the North Pole of the earth. What did Saint Peter ask the lady for? He asked the lady for a cake. What was the lady's reaction? The lady directly, means the lady did not refuse directly, but she did not even give him a single cake. You can means explain the entire incident, okay, what she did or how was her reaction. How did he punish her? The Saint Peter, he punished her by converting her into a woodpecker. How does the woodpecker get her food? By boring and boring in the dry hard wood. These all are very short questions. So while answering this question according to 3 marks, you have to give some general lines as well. For example, if this question is there, how did he punish her? So you are to write down according to 3 marks. First, you can start with the general lines that A Legend of the Northland is a very interesting poem. It is a very interesting poem that is telling us a very good story. If you if you remember the name of the poet, you can even write down. This poem has been written by Phoebe Cary. In this poem, there is a good Saint Peter and a lady who was baking cakes. When the good Saint Peter asked the lady to give him only one cake, the lady did not give because the lady was so greedy. She was not ready to part with her cakes. So at this, Saint Peter grew angry and he cursed him. He turned her, sorry, he cursed her. He turned her into a woodpecker. So in this way, you are to give the answer. Next question is, do you think the old lady would have been so ungenerous if she had known who Saint Peter really was? No, the lady was too greedy. If she would have, if she means had known that this person is Saint Peter, she would not have been so ungenerous. Rather, means on the other hand, what she would have done, she would have given him so many cakes, and in a hope that she would get a handsome return, means in the like to get some blessings. Okay, so she would have uh, means responded some another way, and she would have been very smart to get Saint Peter happy. Is this a true story? No, as the poet himself has said that he does not believe that this story is true. This is an imaginative story. Which part of this poem do you feel is the most important? This is up to you. You can choose any stanza, any part, or share it within your own views. What is a legend? The legend is, I have already told you here, legend is an old traditional story. Why is this poem called a legend? This poem is a legend because this is telling us a story. Write the story in about 10 sentences. This is up to you. You are to write down in your own words. Let's look the words at the end of the second and fourth lines. These are the rhyming words. Snows, clothes, true, you. Okay, these are the rhyming words. Find some more rhyming words. This can you do. This can be done very easily. So you can do it by your own. Go to the local library or talk to older persons in your locality and find lessons in your own language. Tell the class these lessons. So this is an activity, means class activity. Your teacher may help. Okay. It was a long poem, but one important point I would like to share here. A same poem is there, means almost similar poem is there in class 10th as well. That is the tale of Custard the dragon. And there was a question in some sample papers. There was a question that was in pre-board questions that was related to the language of the poem. Means you means the students, the learners, they were asked to comment okay, comment on the language of the poem. So you may be asked this question in this poem as well. When means if suppose if this question is there, how would you answer? You are to mention a few points that is related to the language. So how is the language? No doubt, if it is of 6 marks, if the question is 6 marks, you are to provide the general introduction and the summary of the poem, and what do you learn from this poem, that is central idea. But apart from that, if you are to talk about the language, so you need to mention these keywords. The language is so simple, easy. The words used, they are very easy, not so typical words have been used. Apart from that, so many poetic devices have been used. For example, in funny furry, there is alliteration, black as a coal, simile. Okay, so you can mention these, and you can even mention about the rhyming scheme. So whenever you are to answer, or whenever you are asked a question related to the language of a poem, so you are to mention these kind of things. Okay, suppose if this question is there, comment on the language used in this poem. So you would start that the poet has used very simple and easy to understand language in this poem. The words chosen by the poet are very easy Okay, not so typical words, not so advanced words have been used. Apart from that, the poet has used some poetic devices and the rhyming scheme has been followed the same in all the stanzas, that is A, B, C, B. So in this way, you are to comment on the language. And then you can mention about the central idea of the poem as well, that the poem is giving us a lesson. You can even share this as well. In the first three stanzas, the poet has shared the setting of the poem, the setting of the story, and from the fourth stanza, the story starts. Okay, so you can answer this in this way. I hope you have understood very well this poem and the meaning and the important points related to the poem. So thank you. See you in the next video. Till then, keep working, keep learning hard for your exams. All the best. Bye.